Mom texted, "You're banned from Thanksgiving, idiot." I canceled every payment, and 98 calls later, they say you can't choose your family, but you can choose to stop paying their bills. My phone lit up at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Mom's text was short, brutal, and would change everything. "You're banned from Thanksgiving, idiot. Don't bother coming home." I stared at those words until they blurred. Then I opened my banking app and canceled every single automatic payment I'd been making for the past 3 years. Mortgage, car payments, credit cards, insurance, all of it. By sunrise, my phone had 98 missed calls. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how a 23-year-old white girl from suburban Connecticut became her family's personal ATM, and how one text message finally set me free. Chapter 1: The Golden Child Who Paid in Gold. My name is Natalie Pierce, and I was raised to be perfect. Not perfect for myself, perfect for them. Perfect grades to brag about at country club brunches. Perfect manners to show off at church. Perfect ambition to fund their perfect lifestyle. I graduated summa cum laude from Yale at 21 with a degree in computer science. While my classmates were backpacking through Europe or finding themselves in coffee shops, I landed a 6-figure job at a tech company in Boston. My starting salary was $140,000. My parents threw me a graduation party. 200 guests. Open bar. A slideshow of my achievements set to inspirational music. Dad gave a speech about how proud he was, how I'd exceeded every expectation. What he didn't mention was the conversation we'd had 2 weeks earlier. "Natalie, sweetheart, we need to talk about your success," Dad had said, settling into his leather chair with a scotch. Mom perched on the armrest, her smile tight. "Okay," I'd responded, confused. "I thought maybe they wanted to celebrate. Just the three of us." "Your mother and I have been discussing your future income," Dad continued, "and we think it's time you gave back to the family that invested so much in you." I blinked. Gave back? Mom's smile widened, but her eyes stayed cold. "Honey, we paid for your education. Yale isn't cheap. We gave you every opportunity. Don't you think it's only fair that you help us now that you're successful?" "Help you with what?" I asked slowly. That's when they laid it out. The mortgage was becoming burdensome. Dad's business, a consulting firm that seemed to consult on nothing, wasn't doing well. Mom's lifestyle, which included weekly spa treatments, daily Pilates classes, and a shopping addiction that would make the Kardashians jealous, needed funding. And I, their only child, their golden goose, would provide it. "We're not asking for much," Dad said. "Just the mortgage, it's $4,200 a month. And my car payment," Mom added. "The lease on the Mercedes is $890. And the country club dues," Dad said. "That's $600 monthly." "And maybe help with groceries?" Mom suggested. "Say $1,000 a month?" I sat there doing the math. Nearly $7,000 a month, almost half my take-home pay. "But I need to find an apartment in Boston," I said weakly. "The cost of living there? You can find something affordable," Mom interrupted. "Young people are supposed to struggle a little. It builds character." Young people are supposed to struggle while funding their parents' luxury lifestyle? The irony was lost on them. But here's the thing about being raised by narcissists. And I can say that now, though it took 2 years of therapy to name it. You're conditioned to comply. Programmed to please. Wired to believe that love is transactional and your worth is measured in what you provide. So I said yes. I found a studio apartment in a sketchy part of Boston for $1,800 a month. It had water stains on the ceiling and neighbors who argued at 3 a.m., but it was mine. I set up automatic payments for Mom and Dad's expenses, watched my carefully planned budget crumble, and told myself this was temporary. That was 3 years ago. Chapter 2: The Price of Family. The requests grew like weeds. 6 months after I started paying the mortgage, Dad's car broke down. Well, it didn't break down exactly. It was 7 years old and he wanted something newer. Could I help with a down payment? Just $8,000? I emptied my emergency fund. A year in, Mom needed dental work, cosmetic dental work, veneers to be specific, because her teeth were aging her. $15,000. I took out a personal loan. Then Dad's business needed an investment. Then Mom's sister was getting married, and Mom needed a new wardrobe for the wedding events. Plural. Then their water heater broke. Then they wanted to remodel the kitchen. Then. Every request came wrapped in guilt. After everything we've done for you. Family takes care of family. You wouldn't be where you are without us. Don't be selfish. Natalie. My younger cousin Emma once asked me why I looked so tired. We were at a family barbecue, and I'd been staring into space, calculating whether I could afford to replace my laptop or if I could limp along with the broken screen for another 6 months. Just work stuff, I lied. Your mom was bragging about how successful you are, Emma said, gnawing on a hot dog. She said you're making bank at your fancy job. Yeah, it's going well, I replied automatically. Then why are you wearing the same jeans you wore to my graduation party 2 years ago? And aren't those shoes from Target? I looked down at my $20 canvas sneakers, then over at Mom, who was showing off her new Gucci bag to the assembled ants. That was the first crack. Chapter 3. The Invisible Daughter. My parents loved to show me off, from a distance. Our daughter works in tech in Boston. Dad would boom at dinner parties. Very successful. Very impressive salary. They never mentioned that I hadn't bought new clothes in a year. That I meal prepped rice and beans every Sunday to save money. That I walked 40 minutes to work instead of taking the subway to save $2.75 each way. That I hadn't been to a dentist in 2 years because I couldn't afford the copay. They never invited me to these dinner parties, by the way. I heard about them through Facebook posts and my aunt's Instagram stories. My actual life was invisible to them. When I tried to share something, a project I was excited about at work, a new friend I'd made, a funny thing that happened on my commute, they'd listen for exactly 30 seconds before redirecting the conversation to their needs. That's nice, honey. But did you see that the mortgage payment was late this month? The bank charged us a fee. You need to be more careful. Mom, it wasn't late. It processed on the 1st like always. Well, it felt late. Can you just make sure it doesn't happen again? Phone calls with them became transactions. They'd ask how I was doing, a perfunctory opener, then immediately launch into what they needed. Money, usually. Sometimes just an audience for their complaints. I tried setting boundaries once. Mom, Dad, I need to talk to you about the financial arrangement, I said during a rare visit home for Easter. I'd rehearsed this speech for weeks. I'm struggling to make ends meet and I need to reduce what I'm contributing each month. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Reduce? Mom's voice was ice. After everything we've sacrificed for you? I'm not saying stop entirely, just maybe we could revisit the amount. I could do half for a while until I get more stable. We gave you everything, Dad thundered, slamming his hand on the table. We gave you the best education money could buy. We gave you opportunities most people only dream of. And now you're abandoning us? I'm not abandoning anyone, You're selfish, Mom said, her eyes filling with tears. She was good at crying on command. I raised a selfish daughter. I don't know where I went wrong. Maybe we should have saved our money, Dad added. Let you figure out college on your own. Let you drown in student debt like everyone else. Would you prefer that? No, Then stop being ungrateful. I paid the bills. I didn't bring it up again. Chapter 4. The Thanksgiving Invitation. October rolled around, and with it came the annual question, Are you coming home for Thanksgiving? I hadn't been home for Thanksgiving in 2 years. Year 1, I'd been too busy with work. Year 2, I'd caught COVID and used it as an excuse even after I recovered. The truth was simpler. I couldn't afford the train ticket. $180 round trip from Boston to Connecticut might not sound like much, but when you're living on ramen and oatmeal, when you're $3,000 behind on your own rent because you paid your parents' mortgage on time, when you're wearing shoes with holes in them because new ones aren't in the budget, $180 becomes insurmountable. This year, I'd managed to save a little. Not much, but enough for a bus ticket at least. I was actually feeling hopeful. Maybe this Thanksgiving would be different. Maybe I could have one normal holiday with my family. I think I can make it this year, I told Mom on the phone in early November. Oh? She sounded distracted. I heard the click of her keyboard. She was probably shopping online while we talked. Yeah, I can take the bus down Wednesday evening and head back Sunday morning. She said non-committally. Is that okay? Should I plan on that? I'll let you know, honey. I need to finalize the guest list. Guest list? Since when did Thanksgiving have a guest list? I should have known something was wrong. But I was too busy with a major project at work, too exhausted from the mental gymnastics of keeping my parents happy while keeping myself afloat, too hopeful that maybe, just maybe, things would be normal. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, Mom called. Natalie, we need to talk about your contribution this month. My stomach dropped. What about it? Your father's car needs new tires. We need an extra $200. I looked at my bank account. $847.23. That had to last me another 10 days until payday, and I still needed to buy groceries. Mom, I don't have it right now. Can it wait until next month? Wait? Her voice sharpened. Natalie, your father can't drive on bald tires. That's dangerous. Are you really going to put your father's life at risk over money? The manipulation was so blatant, I almost laughed. Almost. I'll figure something out, I heard myself say. I borrowed money from my credit card. The interest rate was 24.99%. A week before Thanksgiving, I texted Mom. Hey, confirmed I can come for Thanksgiving. Bus gets in around 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Want me to bring anything? 3 hours later. K. That should have been my second warning. Chapter 5, The Text. Monday night before Thanksgiving, I was finishing up my project at work. It was going well. I'd just received praise from my manager and was actually feeling proud of myself for the first time in months. I decided to text Mom with my exact arrival time so someone could pick me up from the bus station. Hi, Mom. Bus arrives at 7:13 p.m. on Wednesday. Can Dad pick me up from the station? Let me know. Love you. I went back to coding. My phone buzzed an hour later. Change of plans. You're not coming for Thanksgiving. I stared at the message. Read it again. Felt something cold settle in my chest. What? Why? We decided to keep it small this year. Just us. Just us. As if I wasn't part of us. Mom, I already bought my bus ticket. I thought we agreed. Well, now we're disagreeing. Don't come. My hands were shaking. Can we at least talk about this? Did I do something wrong? No response. I called. Voicemail. I called Dad. Voicemail. I tried again. And again. Finally, at 2:47 a.m., when I was lying awake in my bed staring at the ceiling, my phone lit up with a text from Mom. You're banned from Thanksgiving, idiot. Don't bother coming home. Banned. Idiot. 23 years of trying to be perfect, 3 years of funding their lifestyle while I struggled, and I was banned. I was an idiot. Something inside me didn't crack, it shattered completely. I opened my banking app. Chapter 6, The Great Cancellation. My hands were steady as I navigated through my bank's website. Funny how clarity feels once you stop trying to hold on to people who were never really holding on to you. Mortgage payment to First National Bank for Stephen and Margaret Pierce, cancelled. Car payment to Mercedes-Benz Financial for Margaret Pierce, cancelled. Country Club automatic transfer to Greenwood Country Club, cancelled. Utilities supplement transfer, cancelled. Grocery money, direct deposit, cancelled. Dad's car insurance, cancelled. Their credit card, the one in their name that I'd been paying off monthly, payment cancelled. The subscription services I'd somehow ended up paying for, Mom's Spotify, Dad's Audible, their Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, cancelled, cancelled, cancelled. I even canceled the automatic payment for their lawn care service. Because why not? If I was burning bridges, I might as well burn them thoroughly. Each cancellation was a small act of liberation. Click, click, click. 3 years of payments, gone with a few taps on my phone. I sent one text to the family group chat, a group chat that was really just the three of us, where they usually sent demands and I sent confirmations. Effective immediately, I'm discontinuing all financial support. Best of luck with your bills. Then I turned off my phone and went to sleep. I slept for 11 hours. Best sleep I'd had in 3 years. Chapter 7, The Aftermath. When I turned my phone back on Thursday morning, Thanksgiving morning, it exploded. 98 missed calls, 67 text messages, 34 voicemails. I made coffee and started scrolling through the carnage. Mom, 6:47 a.m. Call me right now. Dad, 6:52 a.m. What the hell did you do? Mom, 7:03 a.m. The mortgage payment didn't go through. Fix this. Dad, 7:15 a.m. Natalie, answer your phone. Mom, 7:23 a.m. This is not funny. Call me immediately. Dad, 7:30 a.m. You're making a huge mistake. It continued like that for hours. The messages got increasingly frantic, then angry, then nasty. Mom, 11:34 a.m. You're a spoiled brat. Dad, 12:07 p.m. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? Mom, 1:43 p.m. You're going to ruin us. Is that what you want? To destroy your own parents? Dad, 2:56 p.m. The bank called. The mortgage is late. Do you understand what that means? Do you want us to lose our house? Mom, 4:22 p.m. Everyone is asking where you are. I told them you're sick. Don't make me look like a liar. That one almost made me laugh. Don't make her look like a liar? The irony was spectacular. I listened to exactly one voicemail. Mom's voice was shrill, panicked. Natalie Marie Pierce, you call me back right now. I don't know what kind of breakdown you're having, but you're being absolutely ridiculous. You can't just cancel our bills like a child throwing a tantrum. We are your parents. You owe us. Call me back and fix this immediately, or I swear to God. I deleted the rest without listening. Instead, I did something I hadn't done in years. I cooked myself a real Thanksgiving dinner. Well, my version of it. I couldn't afford a turkey, but I made a small roasted chicken. I bought real potatoes and made mashed potatoes with actual butter. I got fresh green beans instead of frozen. I even bought a small pumpkin pie from the store. I set my tiny table with my mismatched plates, lit a candle I'd been saving, and ate alone in my studio apartment. It was the best Thanksgiving I'd ever had. Chapter 8, The Flying Monkeys. The calls from my parents eventually slowed, but they were replaced by something worse. The extended family. Aunt Linda called Friday morning. Natalie, honey, your mother is beside herself. What's going on? Hi, Aunt Linda, I'm doing well, thanks for asking. Don't be snide. Your mother says you've cut them off financially? Is that true? I've stopped paying their bills, yes. But why? They're your parents? Aunt Linda, I've been paying their mortgage, car payments, and expenses for 3 years. I can barely afford my own rent. I need to take care of myself. But family helps family, Natalie. Your parents sacrificed so much for you. Did they? I asked quietly. Or did they raise me to be their retirement plan? That's a terrible thing to say. They gave you everything. They gave me an education and then charged interest on it. That's not a gift, Aunt Linda. That's indentured servitude. She gasped. How dare you? Your mother is in tears. Your father had to cancel his golf membership. How tragic. I had to choose between food and new shoes last month, but sure, let's prioritize Dad's golf. She hung up on me. Uncle Tom called next. Then Cousin Jessica. Then family friends I hadn't spoken to in years. Each call followed the same script. Mom and Dad were victims. I was ungrateful. How could I be so cruel? Don't I understand family obligation? None of them asked how I was doing. None of them asked why a 23-year-old was funding her middle-aged parents' lifestyle. None of them questioned why two able-bodied people in their early 50s couldn't pay their own bills. I stopped answering calls from numbers I recognized. The texts got nastier. Mom, you've always been selfish, even as a child. Dad, we should have known better than to invest in you. Mom, your grandmother would be ashamed of you. My grandmother, for the record, had died telling me to not let them break you. I didn't understand what she meant at the time. Dad, you'll regret this when we're gone and you realize what you lost. Mom, you're dead to me. That last one came Sunday evening. I stared at it for a long time. Okay, I said out loud to my empty apartment. Okay. I blocked both their numbers. Chapter 9, The Guilt Spiral. The first week was euphoric. I felt light, free, powerful. I'd done it. I'd set a boundary. I'd chosen myself. The second week, the guilt came. It started small. A memory of Mom teaching me to bake cookies when I was 7. Dad pushing me on a swing. Family vacations to the beach. They weren't always like this, right? There were good times. What if I was overreacting? What if I was the problem? I called my best friend Jenna, crying, at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. I think I made a mistake, I sobbed. What if they really can't afford their bills? What if they lose their house? What if— Natalie, stop, Jenna interrupted. Listen to yourself. You're spiraling because your parents sent you a nasty text and cut you off. And your response was to stop paying their luxury car lease. Does that make you a monster? They raised me? They're adults with jobs. Your dad has a consulting business. Your mom could work if she wanted to. They're not disabled. They're not elderly. They're not incapable. They're just entitled. But I have more money than they do. Because you earned it. Natalie, you went to Yale. You worked your ass off. You got a job in a competitive field. That's your success, not theirs to harvest. But family doesn't call you an idiot and ban you from Thanksgiving. Abusers do that. The word hung in the air. Abusers. They're not abusive, I said weakly. They never hit me or anything. Financial abuse is real abuse. Emotional abuse is real abuse. Manipulation is real abuse. Just because there are no bruises doesn't mean there are no wounds. I cried harder because she was right, and knowing she was right didn't make it hurt less. Chapter 10, The Financial Inventory. After I calmed down, Jenna made me do something I'd been avoiding. Calculate exactly how much money I'd given my parents over 3 years. We made a spreadsheet. I pulled up 3 years of bank statements. Mortgage, $40,200 has month, x 36 months, $151,200 car payment, $890 month x 36 months, $40 country club dues, $600 month x 36 months, $2,600 of groceries at expenses, $1,000 month x 36 months, $36,000 one-time emergencies, dad's car down payment, $8,000 mom's veneers, $15,000 dad's business investment, $12,000 kitchen remodel, $9,000 mom's sister's wedding wardrobe, $3,500 various other requests, $11,000 total one-time expenses, $5,800 various subscriptions and services, $200 month X, 36 months, $7,200 grand total, $36,540. Had given my parents over $300,000 in 3 years. I stared at that number until my eyes burned. $300,000. I could have bought a house with that. I could have paid off student loans I didn't have because they claimed they'd covered my education. They'd taken out loans in their name that I was now realizing I'd essentially paid back. I could have invested it, traveled, lived comfortably. Instead, I'd been eating rice and beans in a moldy studio apartment while they lived in luxury on my dime. I'm an idiot, I whispered. No, Jenna said firmly. You're a person who was manipulated by people who should have protected you. There's a difference. Chapter 11. The Discovery. The real kicker came 2 weeks after I'd cut them off. I received a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Is this Natalie Pierce? Yes. This is Margaret Chen from First National Bank. I'm calling about the mortgage on 447 Elm Street. The payment for this month is overdue, and I'm aware. I'm no longer making payments on that property. Oh. A pause. Are you the primary borrower? I'm showing here that the borrowers are Stephen and Margaret Pierce. Those are my parents. I've been making their payments, but I'm stopping. Another pause. I see. Can I ask, are you listed on the title or the mortgage in any way? No. Why? Well, it's unusual for someone to pay a mortgage they're not legally obligated to pay. I'm looking at the payment history, and I see the payments have been coming from your account for 3 years? That's correct. May I ask what the arrangement was? I explained, feeling stupider with every word. Ms. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Then, Ms. Pierce, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but you should know that when your parents took out this mortgage 3 years ago, they stated on the application that they had no financial dependence and significant household income. They claimed a combined income of $180,000 annually. My blood ran cold. What? I have the application here. Your father listed his consulting business income as $120,000 per year, and your mother listed income from investment properties at $60,000 per year. Investment properties? That's what it says here. I felt dizzy. How much was their mortgage payment before they refinanced 3 years ago? I can't disclose specific account details, but I can tell you that they refinanced at the same time you graduated from college. Their previous mortgage had a payment of approximately $2,100 per month. They refinanced to take cash out and expand the property. The new payment became $4,200. They doubled their mortgage payment the moment I got a job. That would be around the same time, yes. I thanked her and hung up. Then I did what I should have done months ago. I started digging. Chapter 12. The Rabbit Hole. I found Dad's consulting website. It looked professional. Slick design, stock photos, impressive buzzwords. I checked the client testimonials. Reverse image search revealed they were fake, pulled from testimonial generator websites. I searched for his business registration. It existed, but there was no evidence of actual business activity. No clients I could find, no reviews, no presence beyond a website and a LinkedIn with 43 connections. I looked into Mom's investment properties. This took longer, but eventually I found property records. She owned 1 condo. 1. She rented it out for $1,900 a month. After her mortgage, HOA fees, and property management costs, she probably netted $400 a month. Not $60,000 a year, maybe $5,000. They'd lied on their mortgage application. They'd inflated their income to qualify for a larger loan, And they'd done it knowing I'd be covering the payments. I'd been their plan all along. The kitchen remodel they'd needed my $9,000 for? I found the contractor's invoice in an old email. They'd sent it to me asking for money. The remodel cost $6,500. They'd pocketed $2,500. The car down payment? Dad's broken car sold for $5,000, according to Kelley Blue Book estimates. The down payment was $8,000. They'd netted $3,000. Every emergency, every crisis, every desperate plea had been padded with profit. I wasn't helping them survive. I was funding an upgrade they'd designed 3 years in advance. I threw up in my kitchen sink. Chapter 13. The Leverage. Once I stopped being nauseous, I got angry. Really angry. The productive kind of angry. I downloaded every bank statement, every receipt, every email, every text message asking for money. I organized it all into folders. I made spreadsheets. I documented everything. Then I called a lawyer. The consultation was free, and the lawyer, a woman in her 50s named Patricia Goldstein, listened to my story with increasingly raised eyebrows. "Do you have documentation of all these payments?" she asked. Everything. 3 years of bank statements, text messages, emails, even some recorded phone calls. I'd started recording calls 6 months ago when the requests got especially aggressive. And they explicitly stated these payments were temporary? Or that they'd pay you back? I pulled up a text from year 1. "Mom, just until Dad's business picks up, we'll pay you back once things stabilize." And another from year 2. "Dad, think of it as a loan. We'll settle up eventually." There were dozens more. Patricia leaned back in her chair. "Natalie, you have a case for financial elder abuse in reverse, which isn't a legal term, but you understand what I mean. More relevant, if they lied on their mortgage application and you have evidence of that, you could report them to the bank and, potentially, the FBI. The FBI? Mortgage fraud is a federal crime. If they lied about their income to qualify for a loan they couldn't afford, that's fraud. If they did so with premeditation, and the timing suggests they did, that's conspiracy to commit fraud." I felt powerful and sick at the same time. "I don't want to send them to prison," I said slowly. "I just want them to leave me alone." "Then you use this as leverage," Patricia said simply. "You draft a cease and desist letter. You include a small sampling of your evidence. You make it clear that continued harassment will result in you taking legal action, and you specify what that action might include." Will that work? Depends on how smart they are. Most people, when faced with evidence of their own crimes, back down quickly. I hired her on the spot. Chapter 14. The Letter. The cease and desist letter was a thing of beauty. It outlined the facts: $306,540 in payments over 3 years. It included a small sample of their text messages demanding money. It referenced their mortgage application and the discrepancies in their stated income. It noted the pattern of inflated emergency requests. And it made a simple demand: stop contacting me. Stop asking family members to contact me on your behalf. Stop slandering me to relatives and friends. If they complied, I'd take no further action. If they didn't, I'd be forced to report my findings to the relevant authorities and pursue civil action for repayment of all funds given under false pretenses. Patricia sent it via certified mail so we'd have proof of delivery. Then we waited. Chapter 15. The Silence. The letter was delivered on a Wednesday. The calls stopped on Thursday. Not gradually, immediately. The flying monkeys disappeared. The nasty texts ceased. My phone, which had been buzzing constantly for 3 weeks, went silent. It was eerie. I waited for the other shoe to drop, for a lawyer to call, or for the police to show up. With what charge, I wasn't sure. But paranoia isn't rational. For my parents to show up at my apartment building. Nothing happened. A week passed. Then 2. I started sleeping through the night. I bought myself new shoes, $80, which felt extravagant and necessary. I went to the dentist for the first time in 2 years. I paid down my credit card debt. I put money in savings. I started to breathe again. 3 weeks after the letter, I received a single text from an unknown number. "This is your father. We won't contact you again. But know that you've destroyed this family. I hope you're happy." I blocked the number, but not before screenshotting the message and sending it to Patricia. "Perfect," she said. "Keep it. If they violate the cease and desist, this proves they're still trying to make contact and attempting to manipulate you, but honestly, I think they're done. You called their bluff." She was right. I never heard from them again. Chapter 16. The Reckoning. Christmas came and went. No contact. New Year's passed. Nothing. In January, I got a notification from Credit Karma. I monitored my credit religiously now, one of many new habits from therapy. My parents' house had gone into foreclosure. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not guilt, just nothing. I learned later through the family grapevine, cousin Emma, who'd sided with me once she learned the full story, that they'd moved into a small apartment. Dad got a real job at a real company doing actual consulting. Mom was working part-time at a boutique. They'd had to make actual changes to their lifestyle. They'd had to become responsible for themselves. Good. Emma also told me they'd told the extended family that I'd had a breakdown and that they'd decided to give me space to heal. The narrative was that they were the gracious, understanding parents dealing with a troubled daughter. Let them have their story. I had the truth, and the truth had set me free. Chapter 17. The Rebuild. I want to tell you that everything was perfect after that, but that would be a lie. The guilt came in waves. Birthdays were hard. Mother's Day nearly broke me. I'd see parents with their adult children in coffee shops and feel a grief so sharp it stole my breath. Therapy helped. My therapist, Dr. Sarah Kim, specialized in family estrangement and trauma. "You're not grieving the parents you have," she explained in one session. "You're grieving the parents you deserve to have." That distinction changed everything. I wasn't mourning the loss of Stephen and Margaret Pierce, the people who'd called me an idiot and banned me from Thanksgiving. I was mourning the loss of the parents I'd imagined, the ones who would love me unconditionally, support my growth, celebrate my success without exploiting it. Those parents never existed. Accepting that was like accepting a death. It required genuine grief work. But on the other side of that grief was freedom. I made new friends. I dated. Badly at first, then better as I learned to recognize red flags and establish boundaries. I got a promotion at work. I moved to a better apartment. This one with working heating and neighbors who didn't scream at 3 a.m. I built a life that was mine. Chapter 18. The Found Family. 2 years after the text, I hosted my first Thanksgiving. It was small. Jenna and her girlfriend, my colleague Marcus and his wife, Emma and her boyfriend, and 3 other friends from a book club I'd joined. None of them were my parents. None of them were blood relatives except Emma. All of them were family. I cooked for days. I made a real turkey this time, and stuffing from scratch, and 3 kinds of pie. I bought nice napkins and found a tablecloth at a thrift store. I made a playlist of non-offensive background music. Before we ate, Jenna raised her glass. "I'd like to make a toast to Natalie for having the courage to choose herself, and to all of us for choosing each other." We clinked glasses and I cried a little, and it was perfect. Later, while washing dishes, Emma sidled up next to me. "Aunt Margaret asked about you last week," she said quietly. My hands stilled in the soapy water. "Oh? She wanted to know if I'd seen you. I said yes. She asked if you'd come to your senses yet. What did you say? I said you'd come to your senses 3 years ago and you'd never been better. I hugged her, soap suds and all. Chapter 19. The Unexpected Message. In year 3 post-estrangement, something unexpected happened. I received a Facebook message from Dad's sister, my Aunt Karen, who I'd barely known growing up. She lived in Oregon and had been absent from most family events. Natalie, I hope you don't mind me reaching out. Your cousin Emma gave me your basic story, and I wanted you to know something. Your father did the same thing to his parents. I stared at the message. When your grandparents were in their 70s, your dad convinced them to take out a reverse mortgage and give him the money to invest in his business. He lost it all, or claimed he did. They nearly lost their house. Your grandmother never forgave him. She left everything to me and your Uncle Tom in her will, specifically to prevent your dad from getting it. Suddenly, Grandma's deathbed words made sense. Don't let them break you. She'd been trying to warn me. Your dad is a con artist, Karen continued. He always has been. He cons people into loving him, trusting him, giving to him. And when they're empty, he moves on. I'm sorry he did this to you, and I'm proud of you for getting out. I cried reading that message. Not sad tears, relieved tears. It wasn't me. It had never been me. This was who he was, who they both were maybe. And I'd been their next mark, groomed from birth to be the perfect victim. But I'd escaped. Chapter 20, The Call. Year 4 brought the call I'd been simultaneously dreading and expecting. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Natalie? Mom's voice, smaller than I remembered. My heart rate spiked. How did you get this number? Your cousin. I asked her. I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to contact you. I should have hung up. Patricia had been clear about the boundaries. Instead, I asked, what do you want? Your father is sick. 4 words designed to pull me back in. I'm sorry to hear that, I said neutrally. He has cancer. Stage 3. He's starting treatment next week. I felt something. Not the rush of love and obligation I would have felt 4 years ago. Just a distant sadness for a person who happened to share my DNA. I hope his treatment goes well. Natalie, please, he wants to see you. He wants to make things right. Does he? He does. He knows he made mistakes. We both do. We want another chance. I looked around my apartment. My nice apartment. In a good neighborhood with furniture I'd bought myself. I thought about my savings account, my paid-off credit cards, my therapy, my found family, my hard-won peace. Mom, I'm going to say something, and I need you to really hear it. Okay. I hope Dad recovers. I genuinely do. I don't wish illness on anyone. But I don't want to see him. I don't want to see you. You didn't make mistakes. You made choices. You chose to exploit me. You chose to lie to me. You chose to manipulate me. And when I set boundaries, you chose to call me an idiot and ban me from Thanksgiving. Natalie, I'm not done. Those weren't accidents or miscommunications. They were deliberate actions by adults who knew better. You taught me that love was conditional on what I could provide. And then, you were surprised when I stopped providing. We were struggling. So was I. I was 21 years old and I was funding your retirement. I was eating ramen so you could have country club brunch. Do you understand how insane that is? Silence. I've built a good life without you, I continued, my voice steadier. I have people who love me without conditions. I have savings. I have stability. I have peace. I'm not giving that up to go back to being your ATM. Is that all we were to you? A financial burden? The audacity nearly made me laugh. You were the ones who made it financial, Mom. You were the ones who made love conditional on payment. I would have had a relationship with you for free, but free wasn't enough. You wanted everything. More silence. I have to go, I said. Natalie, wait. Please. Can we at least talk sometimes? I closed my eyes, pictured the chaos of those 3 years, pictured the peace of the 4 years since. No, I'm sorry Dad is sick, but my answer is no. I hung up before she could respond. Then I blocked the number, called Patricia to document the contact violation, and went about my day. Chapter 21, The Aftermath of the Call. I told Dr. Kim about the call in our next session. How do you feel about how you handled it? She asked. Good, I think. Is that wrong? Shouldn't I feel guilty? Do you feel guilty? I considered it honestly. A little. The automatic guilt. The trained response. But underneath that? No. I feel clear. Clarity is different from guilt. Yeah. Your mother used your father's illness as leverage. That's manipulation. You recognized it and held your boundary. That's growth. Part of me wonders if I should have at least offered to visit once. What if he dies, and I regret it? You might. Regret is complex. But I want you to think about something. Would future you regret seeing him? Or would future you regret the consequences of seeing him? I understood what she meant. Seeing them wouldn't be a single visit. It would be reopening a door I'd fought hard to close. It would be inviting the possibility of manipulation back into my life. It would be teaching them that boundaries were negotiable if they just found the right pressure point. I'd regret opening the door, I admitted. Then you've made the right choice for you. Chapter 22, The 5-Year Mark. 5 years after the text, I went back to Connecticut. Not to see my parents, to see Emma. She was getting married, and I was her maid of honor. The wedding was beautiful, small, intimate, at a vineyard an hour from where I grew up. My parents were not invited. Emma had made that clear from the start. They asked, Emma told me while we were getting ready. Aunt Margaret called my mom crying, saying it was a family event and they deserved to be there. What did your mom say? She said if Margaret and Stephen had wanted to be treated like family, they shouldn't have treated their daughter like a bank. Then she hung up. I loved Emma's mom. At the reception, I danced with strangers and laughed with Emma's friends and ate expensive catering without calculating the cost per plate. I wore a dress I'd bought without checking my bank account first. I drank good champagne. I was happy. One of Emma's aunts, not my aunt, I noted, not family, asked me the inevitable question, Are your parents here? No, I said simply. Oh, that's too bad. Family is so important. It is, I agreed. That's why I'm very careful about who I call family. She didn't know what to say to that, so she changed the subject. Later, Emma found me on the balcony overlooking the vineyard. Thank you for being here, she said, slightly drunk and very happy. Wouldn't miss it. I know it's weird being back in Connecticut. A little, but it's okay. This isn't about them. It's about you. She hugged me. You're the strongest person I know. I'm really not. I'm just stubborn. That too. We laughed, and in that moment I realized something. I didn't miss my parents. I didn't wonder what they were doing or wish they were here. I didn't feel a hole where they used to be. I felt complete without them. Epilogue. The text, 5 years later, November the 2nd. 5 years to the day after the text. I was in my office at work. I'd been promoted twice and now led a small team when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. My stomach still tightened. Some reflexes die hard. The text read, This is your mother. Your father passed away yesterday. The funeral is Friday at 2 p.m. at St. Michael's if you choose to attend. I won't contact you again after this. I stared at the message for a long time. I felt complicated things. Sadness, yes. Grief for what could have been. Relief that the call 5 years ago hadn't been our last interaction, but also grateful that this text was via message and not another call. Guilt that I didn't feel more. But mostly, I felt certain. I didn't go to the funeral. I sent flowers, anonymously, through an online service. I wrote a simple card, "Condolences on your loss." I took the day off work. But I spent it with Jenna. We went hiking and got lunch and talked about everything except my dead father. That evening, alone in my apartment, I let myself cry, not for the father I'd had, but for the father I'd deserved. For the childhood that could have been. For the family that should have been. And then I dried my tears, made myself dinner, and continued living my life. Final reflection. People ask me sometimes if I regret cutting off my parents, if I wish I'd tried harder to make it work. The answer is complicated. I regret that I had parents who chose money over me. I regret that I was raised by narcissists. I regret the 3 years I spent as their ATM. I regret the therapy bills and the nights crying and the PTSD-like responses I still have when someone asks me for money. But do I regret leaving? No. Never. That text, "You're banned from Thanksgiving, idiot," was the greatest gift they ever gave me. It was so cruel, so blatant, so undeniably abusive that it shattered the illusion I'd been living under. It gave me clarity, and that clarity gave me my life back. I'm 28 now. I have a job I love, friends who are actual family, a therapist who's helped me rebuild my sense of self, and a partner who thinks I'm amazing just for existing, not for what I can provide. I have savings. I have stability. I have joy. I have a life that's mine. Sometimes I think about parallel universe Natalie, the one who got that text and apologized, who kept paying the bills, who sacrificed herself on the altar of family obligation until there was nothing left. I mourn for her. But I'm not her. I'm the Natalie who canceled every payment. The Natalie who blocked 98 calls. The Natalie who hired a lawyer and drew boundaries and chose herself. I'm the Natalie who survived. And you know what? That's enough. More than enough. It's everything. The end. If you're reading this and recognizing yourself in my story, if you're the ATM for your family, if love feels conditional, if you're struggling under obligations that are crushing you, please know this. You are not responsible for your parents' choices. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. Family is supposed to nurture you, not drain you. It's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to walk away. You deserve a life that's yours. And I promise you, it's waiting on the other side of that first boundary. You just have to be brave enough to draw it.